Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Stroll and Chat here at the Sea of Galilee. But you couldn't tell us the Sea of Galilee. Where's the sunrise? Tell me where it's going to come out. Where is the sunrise going to come out today? Look at this sky. Where is it going to come out? Can you see where the sky finishes and the water starts? This is almost like the first moment of creation. The earth was void and dull. Isn't that amazing? You can make the sunrise where you want. Where do you want it? Point your finger there in the screen, please. Well, we can't do that yet. They didn't invent that technology. Thanks be to God, otherwise you'd mess up my screen. So this is amazing. We know the sun is coming because we have some evidence up here. The sun will be late today. I'm not sure if it will catch up with us. We have a good reason why it might be. Look at the good reason. You want to see the good reason why we might be a little longer today? You know, the earth is not just void and dull and grey. It's very colourful this morning. Look at all these flowers. And these are tour guides, and they are here on a course with the famous Yiska Harani. And she is a marvelous teacher. Ooh, what happened? I went into selfie again. Sorry about that. She does an extraordinary course she's developed over the years, a way of assisting the tour guides here, who are mostly not of Christian conviction. They are Jewish people or maybe Muslim. And she is teaching them about the Christian understanding so that they can serve the visitors and the pilgrims much better, understanding their background and the content, how the gospel resonates in our hearts, how the Sea of Galilee resonates in our hearts. I think that's a marvelous service of love. So actually the sunrise will probably be over there when it comes, but who knows when it will come. So first of all, let's do, we're going to meet some of the tour guides, God willing, and let's just look at the scriptures a little bit today, because the sunrise is on delay mode. It's going to come a little bit later. So 1 second here, and I can read what it says here. We have two very powerful messages this morning, and actually the psalm is also very beautiful because it captures in another way what we are going to talk about this morning. And the verse of the response, which we repeat, is, "Guide me, Lord, along the everlasting way." And if you look at the title of today's post, that's our squadron. These are parrots. They're green. What's the name of these birds?
Drara.
What?
Drara.
Drara, like dror?
Yeah. Drara.
So they're like swallows, but they're not. Dror is a swallow, but drara is something else. Okay. Look at them. Hey, look at them. We got them. The green. Look. Woo! That's the first time I ever got them. Thank you for being here, guides. They came for you. You can't see the guides smiling because they covered up their smile. They're keeping it for themselves. So we're all praying for an end to this corona virus pandemic thing. And we need to be serious about it, so they're being serious about it. Very good. So now, let's do this text a little bit. So let's start with the first one. The second one, the gospel text, is where you have the formula for designing your own success. Ultimate success. Absolutely ultimate success. And you can design it. You can actually make it happen. Wow! Okay, so let's go to the first reading first. There's something very interesting about the first reading. You just think back, when was your first day ever in school? And how much did you learn until you graduated from university, if that's the track you took? Or you got final approval in your apprenticeship that you were a master tradesperson? How many extra courses did you take? How much did you study? How many hobby interests did you really develop? And when you show up at a cocktail party, everybody can know that you're the learned person. So Paul says a very interesting thing. Knowledge inflates with pride. You know, everybody is trying to narrow that waistline. We don't want to inflate. And we don't want to inflate with pride, because, you know, when somebody gets a little more humble, it's a blessing for everybody. So he says knowledge inflates with pride, but love builds up. So you can learn all you want and become the greatest expert in 15 different specializations, because if you love, you will build up. You won't be inflated like a balloon of ego. And I just leave it like that because there's a whole theological issue there. We don't need to go into explaining all that this morning. And it's just, why do you know what you know? How do you use what you know to serve others? This is the great path, the everlasting way. And now we'll just spend one more minute for the moment on the gospel passage, so that we get to the point of the message today about success. And Jesus is saying, stop judging and you will not be judged. That's very hard for us, especially if we know a lot of stuff and we know a lot about life. It's very hard for us not to judge the children, not to judge our parents who don't understand anything in our present day world, and not to judge our grandparents, and not to judge even the politicians, even the criminals. We don't know their context, we don't know their situation. It's amazing. I was speaking recently to a person. Can you believe this? I shouldn't tell you. It's too tough. But now that you're prepared, say a prayer in your heart for this family. He saw his own father, according to his telling of the story, put an end to the life of his mother when he was a little child. How horrible. How horrible. But even, it's amazing. I was amazed with this man. He is probably now half a century. And he doesn't hate his father, because he knows that his father had a very tough life. It's amazing. And thanks be to God, the only judge is God. At the end of the day, the only judge. We obviously have instances of judgment, just like parents have to order the life of their children, and they have to have conditions and consequences for certain types of actions to train and educate the children. So there's a level of judgment, but not even spouses know each other well, 100%. Not even parents don't even know all the stuff in their children. There's so many aspects of life that we do not have enough of insight to understand. And we have to trust a lot in providence to guide us. Stop judging and you will not be judged. And I want to skip to the last line. For the measure with which you measure will be in return measured out to you. So there's a great story about a lady in Ireland about 1600 years ago. Her name was Bridget. That's the name of my brother's wife. And she's not 1600 years old. And Bridget wanted to be a consecrated woman, and she wanted to build a convent, like a monastery. So Bridget, actually, how do you like the sky there, people? Isn't that very nice? Let me show you something else so you can see something different. I'll show you Mount Arbel, okay? I'll spare the guides, but you can see the sky. It's a bit more interesting in Mount Arbel. Okay, there we are, and you have a little bit of the palm trees. Okay, so Bridget wanted a piece of land, but the prince didn't want to give her any. And she eventually, like a good woman with feminine genius, which we celebrate here in Magdala, she convinced the prince to give her the size of her cloak. and he knew that was no good. How much ground could her cloak cover? So she had faith, and she put her cloak on the ground, and the prince started to measure it on one side, the piece of land he would give her, but the cloak started to grow. This is like a miracle. And the cloak was so big, she had plenty of room for a huge monastery with plenty of gardens. So the measure we measure out is the measure we will get back. And that's the ultimate success. You know, are you happy to have $1 million or $10 million? Well, one day it's all going to be gone. The measure we give out, the measure of goodness we give out to others, the kindness, the amount of love we put into our little actions, this is the measure of our success. And we can make the measure of we can be revengeful, spiteful, miserable, sad, down, always negative, or we can be generous, upbuilding, living. We can make our own success. Okay, people, we're just going to shift gears today because we have this incredible audience here. Here we have tour guides from Israel, mostly Jewish in this case, in this course. And I think I said already I said it in the Instagram, I think I said here that these guides are specializing during this Corona period with a course here at Magdala. They're staying here for 3 days, and they're specializing on nuancing their understanding of the Christian sensitivities and theological and spiritual understandings here in the Holy Land, so that they're going to be ready when you come back after the Corona period lockdown is over, God willing, and hopefully that will be sooner than later, and they will be more ready to welcome you. So I just thought we'd like to say hello to is there any tour guide who would like to say hello to their people? Who would like to say hello? I suggest you stand up one by one and we can say your name, where you come from, and which groups have you guided, like in have you guided any groups from Mars? Okay, who wants to go first? Who's the first guinea pig? Okay, come stand up. And you can take off your mask for this because my telephone is not sensitive to Corona. No, you go on the other side. They don't see me on the Facebook normally. That's a mistake when I hit the selfie thing. Wonderful, beautiful lady. So, what's your name?
My name is Irma.
Irma, you sound like you have an accent. Where did you come from?
I come from Haifa, originally from South Africa.
Uh-huh.
And I'd like to say hello to my groups in South Africa.
Beautiful.
John, and to the groups in Johannesburg, and also to my groups in America. And lovely for you to be able to see where I am. You'll recognize the place on the shores of the Galilee at Magdala. I wish you all well, health, maybe overcome this COVID soon, and see you all back here.
Yeah, awesome. You know what happened, Irma, you know what happened? This week, a guy contacted me from Durban. Yeah. Do they speak to the people from Johannesburg?
Yes.
Oh, good. They speak to them. Okay. Yes. So then, this guy from Durban, his name is Danny. He's an amateur radio. What do you call those things? Amateur radio something? Not freak. They call him something. Amateur radio. Ham. I knew it wasn't kosher. So then he's an amateur radio ham, and he's spreading the Sunrise Stroll and chat on his amateur radio. Isn't that amazing? And with the amateur radio, they reach everywhere in the world. Yeah. There's no geographical limit. So it's amazing how this thing spreads around. Irma, thank you. And thanks for your huge smile this morning. You make up for the sunrise that we don't see. No sign of the sunrise yet.
PT and all your group, lots of love to you from here.
Fantastic. Anybody else like to say hello to your groups? Italiani, bene, venga. E tu ti chiami?
Ines Stiller.
Ines?
Stiller,
that's German. How do you speak Italian?
Il marito Stiller.
Ah.
Il mio primo cognome è Jean.
Ah, tough. Okay. So, tell us.
Voglio dirvi che vi amiamo tanto, vi aspettiamo in questa terra meravigliosa. Magdala è stupenda tutto il giorno, la mattina, il pomeriggio e la sera. Questo al posto dove è meraviglioso e vi vogliamo tanto bene. E buon anno, tra poco è Rosh Hashanah.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Toda rava. Und auf Deutsch.
Ja, natürlich.
Auf Deutsch.
Sicherlich.
Shimshilha.
Schönen guten Morgen, ich bin der David Levy.
David Levy. I should remember. Had supper last night with David, but my brain is so slow I couldn't remember David. Imagine a name like David. You know, it's so untypical Jewish.
This is the source of Christianity, isn't it?
Of course.
David.
Yes. Well,
David.
yeah, the son of David. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very big deal. Big deal. Abraham is a big deal too, and Moses. So all the Avis here and all the Moshe, they're also welcome.
Human
And the
beings.
Sarah and everybody. So David,
May I say something in German?
Yeah.
Of course, meine liebe Gäste weltweit, eigentlich meist hier aus Deutschland, Österreich und der Schweiz. Wir sind ja eben hier in Magdala, ein Ort, wo wir ja sehr wenig besucht haben, aber zuletzt ist es ja jetzt geöffnet für die Öffentlichkeit. Eine wunderschöne Anlage im Hintergrund, aber natürlich die Hintergründe, der Anlass hier zu sein, ist ja einfach herrlich. Das haben wir erfahren ja mit Vater Kelly und unserer Lehrerin Iska, eine einmalige Erfahrung. Es ist ja empfohlen, ja eben so schnell wie möglich, so wo diese blöde Corona vorbei ist, zurückzukommen nach Magdala.
Super.
Ich wünsche euch eine wunderschöne Tage und bleibt gesund.
Vergelt's Gott, David. Das war sehr schön. Super. So we had English, Spanish, Italian, and Deutsch. So who's next?
Hi. So my name is Ruti.
Ruthie. You ever hear that name before, Ruthie?
Yeah, it's Ruth actually, because I was born just before the Feast of Pentecost.
Aha.
So my parents called me Ruth. I would like to say hello to all my friends in the U.S. that travel with Salem Broadcasting System and with Inspiration. So hello from beautiful Magdala. Hopefully we'll see you back here very, very soon. I would also like to speak in Indonesian. Saya mau mengatakan selamat pagi semua orang dari Indonesia. Kita harap Anda akan kembali ke sini cepat-cepat karena kita rindu tourism di negara Israel. Bye bye.
How do you say thank you in Indonesian?
Terima kasih.
I learned this already. Terima kasih. I learned that we had many Indonesian groups here.
Yeah.
And you brought some of them. And Inspiration, since you mentioned Inspiration, hello, and Salem Radio, God bless you all. I know a whole bunch of people there, and you came with huge groups.
Yes, we
And
did.
this was amazing to have this connection. So hello to Inspiration and to your leaders and to Salem Radio and everybody. God bless you all. So who's next? Thank you so much, Ruthie. That's good. Let the Danes go, the Vikings, they're dangerous. Okay, you come. I'm just going to change the camera a little bit here like this,
Okay.
just to get the Duke and Altum and the Mount Arbel. Okay, Shimshalach.
My name is Marisa.
Marisa, which language do you guide in?
Spanish.
Spanish, hablamos español.
Hablamos español. Buen día para todos. Muy buenos días. Esperando que salga el sol. Hay una frase que dice, aunque no lo veamos, el sol siempre está.
Espere. Vamos a ver. Si no llegó el sol, no tiene razón.
Pero está. Lo que quería decirles es que nosotros los estamos esperando y nosotros sabemos que aunque todavía no están aquí, próximamente van a volver con nosotros y nosotros vamos a volver a estar con ustedes. Un llamado a la esperanza, a esperar un poquito más que todo esto pase y volvernos a encontrar.
¿De dónde vienen sus grupos?
Latinoamérica, España,
Todo el Imperio Español.
todo el Imperio Español.
And what agency?
Many.
Many agencies. Okay. Muchos saludos a todos los amigos.
Ciao.
The Danish. We have a song in Ireland about the Danes. You won't like it. I should wait to tell you until after you're finished. The Danes came to Ireland with nothing to do. they robbed and they plundered. And then we have the song, it says, thank God we're surrounded by water because it protected us a little bit, you know. And Brian Boru, who beat the Danes, was from my county. So, but we can still be friendly. Because actually, when I was a child, a teenager, my passion was to be a farmer. I was raised on a farm. And when I really got into this about at the end of grade school, the Irish Farmers Journal came every week. And the first article I always read was the story of the Danish farmers. Because it was a farmer with 19 acres and 22 cows. And 40 pigs and also chickens. And they were intensive farmers. And I tell this to all the Danish groups who come. Tack så mycket. Tack så mycket? No, thank you.
Mange tak.
Mange tack, mange tack. That's Swedish, right? Mange tack. Okay. So,
I'm Michal Gelbart.
Michal.
Yeah.
That Michal was the first love of David, right?
But he married her sister.
Aha.
Så det er mig fra Magdala, dejlige Magdala ved Genesaretsøen. Og et skønt vejkryds og mødepunkt for jøder og kristne. Og jeg håber, vi snart kan mødes her igen. For det kan vi jo ikke i lang tid. Og så må I have en skøn dag. Thank you.
Mange tack.
Mange tak.
Yes.
In Romanian.
Romanian, la rivedere.
Non la rivedere.
That means goodbye.
Yes.
That's the only word I know in Romanian.
Good morning. My name is Judith. I'm from Erzurumia.
Judith?
Yes.
I don't like Judith. She's a dangerous lady. I never sleep.
Yes, I know.
I never
but
go.
I don't have the head of.
I never go into a tent where we find Judith.
Ok. Bună dimineața, dragii mei prieteni, pelerini dragi, și vă doresc și vă binecuvântez din malul Ghinezaret, din frumoasa Magdala, locul unde s-a născut Sfânta Maria Magdalena, și vă doresc să treacă anul ăsta cu cât mai repede și să ne revedem toți cu bucurie și cu îmbrățișare și cu drag. Vă iubesc și la revedere!
La rivedere! So this word is good. So, de surfetit. Bonjour, bienvenue. Okay, Ziska, please. You need to, what? Of course, we see the water. Okay, yeah, of course, Ziska.
Shalom, good morning. I'm so happy to be here. Magdala, amazing. And the Sea of Galilee even more. I want to say something about women, because Magdala is a place that is really an uplift to people who see 50% of humanity as being very powerful and innovative. And behind me is this lake, and I'll tell you a story about my mother and my grandmother.
Yes, may I just make a suggestion because of the shadows? If you go a little bit here, we'll still get some water, but then you have more light on your beautiful face and you'll be a sunrise when we're still lacking. No, you stay there. Let me go a little bit this side. Yeah, you stay there. That's good. Because now you have more sun. And you could even face a little bit this direction. There, not too much. Towards the camera, but this is perfect. And now we still have water in there and it's still the Sea of Galilee, okay?
I want to tell you about my mother and my grandmother. Back in 1942, now they escaped Europe. This place saved their lives because all their family died in Europe, but they came here and they just saw the light and the energy of the place. They did not put themselves back in misery and past, etc. And one day they've come down here in 1942, two women, and they started from here, actually from Tiberias, and they swam across. Do you want me to take the mic?
Yeah, this will be better.
So in 1942, they've asked from an Arab boatman to escort them, and they swam 10 kilometers to the other side. The next day, there was a journal in Jerusalem called the Palestine Post, and they posted this. A mother and a daughter swam across the Sea of Galilee. People were amazed. The next, it was my mother.
And And were you the daughter?
Sorry?
Were you the daughter?
No. My grandmother back then in 1948 and her daughter, which was my mother. And they swam, and a year later, people joined. And another year, people joined. And my mother used to swim the 10 kilometers every year. Eventually, this is the biggest sports event, water sports event, in Israel until today. Everybody calls it the crossing of the Sea of Galilee, like the crossing of the Red Sea. It is a huge sport event. Now I want to tell you something. When you have really desire to enjoy this and to see the energy of this land, you can do anything. My mother, 10 years ago, we're celebrating now, 10 years ago, she was 90 after 2 brain strokes. The women in the family, which are my 2 sisters, Naama and Nava, and myself, we decided that the women in the family are going to cross the Sea of Galilee. Wow. 10 years ago. We took a boatman from Tiberias and we started like a relay race. My sister plunged into the water and did the first half kilometer, and then my other sister, and then our daughters, because all together with all our daughters we have maybe like 10, 11. My mother had grandchildren, a lot, 23. So 11 of them at least were female grandchildren. Finally, the last half kilometer, my mother swam after 2 brain strokes, 90 years old, like back in 1942, and she made it all the way to the other side where we all just embraced each other. And I want to tell you, I'm quite sure that Mary Magdalene would have joined us. But that's it.
Thank you so much, Yiska.
In regards to Sister Joan, my good friend in America that always sees this show of yours, and I want to tell her hello.
Our Sunrise Stroll and Chat. Thank you, Yiska. What a beautiful story. Oops, sorry, so I straightened up the tripod again here. This is great. We got a little history lesson of recent history here about the beginning of the biggest sport event in Israel today, and it was started by ladies and by the grandmother and mother of Yiska. That's fantastic. That's a great story. Awesome. We should do a special little segment on that. And telling it here at Magdala is delightful. Who else would like to speak? Any other guide? I think people are getting hungry for breakfast, is that right? So anybody else? Yitzhak, you want to say something? That's Yiska's husband, and great support here in the program. So I think, yeah, okay, I take that advice. That was a great... Yeah, I think they're going to, instead of speaking anymore, they're all going to get ready to swim across the Sea of Galilee. But maybe they're going to need breakfast first. So if you want to say a big goodbye here before we round off our sunrise stroll and chat. We didn't have any physical sunrise. We don't see the sun. But you know what we see? We see the sunrise in every face here. And they all have a little tear because you're not here, but they have a lot of hope that you will be back soon in the Holy Land, walking these places, swimming in the Sea of Galilee. We have our little beach on the way here, so you can also swim here. And here we have the sun waiting to come up, you know. And God bless you all. See you later, alligator.